Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United lose 3-1 to Brentford, and I think that's it for Ruben Amorim. It may be not today, it may be not tomorrow, but soon he is gone and his United era is over. We've seen it so many times. Those players are not bothered. They're not bothered. It's Brentford. Respect to Brentford. They should have won 5 or 6-1. They actually were so much better than us. But it's Brentford. They've lost half their team. They've lost their manager. They're candidates to get relegated. It's Brentford. And they've battered Manchester United. It's over. It's over. These players don't care. They're not bothered. They should be called out as much as the Glazers, as much as Sir Jim Radcliffe. They're an absolute shit stain on this football club. But the manager cannot survive. He cannot deal with it. He can't do it. He's out of his depth. He's losing, he's lost the fans. He's lost the players. It's over. Whether it's today, tomorrow or whatever, it's over. I don't want it to be. I can't believe we're going to sack another manager. But you can only react to what you see in front of you. And like Ollie losing to Watford and Ten Hag losing to West Ham, these are the games that sack you. And I look back on so many mistakes that he's made, but look, it's chaos. We've seen it with Jose, we've seen it with Van Gaal, we've seen it with Ollie, we've seen it with Rangnick, we've seen it with Ten Hag, we've seen the end, we know the end, and this will be the end. It's just when the end will come, because I can't defend some of the decisions he's made today. How do you keep Bruno Fernandes on this pitch? And look, Bruno Fernandes, for me, is a conversation maybe for an 8 o'clock show tonight or maybe later on. Somebody said it in our live chat. Is Bruno Fernandes the final boss of player power? Now, if you've ever played computer games, you have a boss at the end of every level, and then there's a final boss to complete the game. Is Bruno Fernandes actually the final boss? And can Amorim won't remove him, so maybe the next manager needs to. But I never thought I'd say this about Bruno Fernandes. In fact, I countered Roy Keane, Gary Neville, and other people who said Bruno's a bad captain. I defended Garnacho against Ben Foster when he said to me 2 years ago, he's a problem. And I went, no, he's not. Well, they were right. And they're right again. This guy, I'm afraid, has become a massive problem at the football club. And look, people will say who like Bruno, oh, you just hate Bruno. You just hate Bruno. I hate that performance from Bruno. I hate what he's doing in the midfield, yeah. But look, it's not personal. This is Man United is more important to me than a player I don't know. So we've just lost to Brentford 3-1. We're doing this year after year, getting worse and worse and worse. Are we not allowed to have an open conversation about what the problems might be? People were arguing with me at 2-1 that Bienda's actually a decent goalkeeper. I said, if you think he's a decent goalkeeper, you be you, I'll be me. I think he's fucking shit. What does he do on the last goal? Pink fucking boots, Phil Jones in goal. Invisible man. He's a shit goalkeeper. I'm sorry, he might be a great guy. He's a shit goalkeeper. Bruno's been a great servant. He's a problem. It's time to say what the problems are. Where are the protests? Where have they gone? Oh, we're not allowed to protest. Don't protest because we might sign Belabor. The club's a fucking mess. We're all a mess. It's not just the manager. It's the owners. It's the players. Look at the team today. Harry Maguire as the last man defender. He's got no pace. I've seen more pace in a dead squirrel. It's not his fault. He would tell you himself. Maguire's been a decent player for us, but he can't be the last man. He can't be the last man. That's 1-0 because of that. Delot constantly makes mistakes. Does it again. Bruno in the midfield, the invisible man, plays 90 minutes. Agate actually has a good game, gets subbed off for Mainu, who apparently can't play with Bruno, but we do it in the last half an hour. Bruno stays on the fucking pitch and misses a penalty because he can't be arsed. It's just, these are managerial mistakes, by the way. The players still need to be dealt with. They do, but they will survive and they'll be given another chance. And people will be chanting Bruno again. But he is as part of a problem as anything else now. Like, he is a huge problem at the football club. I watched him in detail today and he just couldn't be arsed. Absolutely shit. He is a £300,000 a week player and he could not be arsed. If I had 2 words for that team, not bothered. They're not bothered. If you've got pictures of these players on the wall or you admire these players, they can't be bothered. Like, I've watched football all my life. I've seen United teams that can be bothered and I've seen teams that can't be bothered. They can't be bothered. They are light switch players. They are the modern Tottenham Hotspur. They are a team that can switch it on and off and they don't give a shit. And that's what they are. But back to the manager. I think he's sacking himself, by the way. I have to say this. I said it in the watch-along and you might not have seen the watch-along. He is sacking himself. He is absolutely sacking himself. If he wants to come out and say, you know, I refute this, I completely disagree with this, let's have an interview. I say to you, Ruben Amorim, you are sacking yourself, mate. You are way too intelligent to be doing what you're doing. I actually like you. I think your interviews over the last year have been compelling and interesting and you know, full of wisdom and foresight, just the same as Rangnick. You are not stupid, mate. And I'm telling you now, I'm calling it out. You want the 12 million. You know this job is impossible. You're not going to walk, so you are literally doing stuff to get yourself sacked. I'm convinced of this. He's way too intelligent to be doing that. He's way too intelligent to leave Harry Maguire as the last man. And when he takes Maguire off, he puts De Ligt as the last man. So he knows that that's where De Ligt should be. So, you know, Bruno in the midfield, I absolutely cannot believe that any manager at any level thinks Bruno in the midfield works as well. I do not believe that. I do not believe that. There is something sinister going on. Amorim said it 2 weeks ago. There's a lot been going on at the club that you'll never know. I'd love to know what it is because I genuinely think he is sacking himself. I just think the subs were chaotic as well. Keeping Bruno on, as I said. Bringing Mount and Xerxes on for Dorgu and Shaw was weird. It's just like, I genuinely think he knows he can't fix this. And I genuinely think he is trying to get himself sacked because, and maybe some of you would look at it and go, well, I completely understand why he would do that. It's a mess. But the organisation is terrible from top to bottom and not just on the pitch, off the club as well. I mean, if you're Omar Barada, if you're Jason Wilcox, if you're Sir Jim Radcliffe, you've got to be looking at this and going, you know what, let's throw the manager under the bus, but we fucked up massively. They brought this guy in. Here we are a year later. Who would have thought a year after Ten Hag would be in a worse position, by the way, and we are. It's like £200 million front three as well, and we score one goal. It's abysmal. The whole thing's abysmal. Do you genuinely think he'll get the sack? I don't, you know what? I just think that I've got to be true to myself. And like, I think coming into this game, having beaten Chelsea, I would have thought we'll beat Brentford, we'll beat Sunderland, 3 wins, just takes the pressure off. You can be a little bit more, you know, forward thinking. But losing the game, it doesn't just take you a step back. It obliterates everything. Like that is there now as a big stain on the season. You know, not just losing to Brentford, but deservedly losing to Brentford. And not 1-0, 3-1, and it could have been 5 or 6. It's the worst type of result. It's the sort of result that has to bring pressure. And I think it's the sort of result you don't come back from. I've said this before so many times. I think managers can survive. I think managers can rebuild. But I've watched football long enough. You've watched football long enough. Those results, you don't come back from. So I'm not, look, Mourinho lost games and didn't get sacked for 3 months. Ollie had bad results and didn't get sacked for 2 months. I'm not saying he's going to get sacked tonight. I'm not saying he'll be sacked next week or even in the next international break. But we're definitely on the road to it. Like, these results don't... What I'm saying is, right, that team doesn't become good. That team doesn't suddenly start beating Arsenal and beating Liverpool and, you know, winning 10 games in a row and United Strand gets a haircut. That's never going to happen. So I'm not saying Amorim out because Bruno out, Glazer's out, Ineos out, multiple players out. It's not just the manager. And I don't think a new manager changes anything, to be honest. If we want to go down that route, let's do it. But he will get sacked because I've seen it all before. You don't become a good team after that. You don't. Like, those heads dropped again. We mentioned this before a ball was kicked this season. Can they keep their heads up? No, they can't. Will there be more of these? Yes, there will. There's that result today is bigger than losing to Brentford. And that's big enough. That's big enough. But that result is bigger than losing to Brentford because that result shows us all that we're capable of that. We're capable of being battered by a team that could be in a relegation battle. So it will be the end. It's just when it will be the end. And also, as many of you quite rightly said, he looks like a manager who is given up. You've got a manager that's given up. You've got players that have given up. And you've got fans that have just lost faith. So there's an air of inevitability to it. And I think that's where we are. You know what? Just a couple of things I wrote down before we do the player ratings. There's a couple of things I sort of said. Why was Delo running from one side of the pitch to the other to launch long balls? And again, I have to put this onto the manager. We're not in Europe because we're shit. We're not in the Carabao Cup because we're shit. So we've had another week off this week. We had another week off last week. Please somebody tell me what you saw in the game today that made you realise what we've been doing in the whole week we've had off. Like, where was the intensity from the minute one? Where was the reaction when we went down? Where was the energy, stamina and match sharpness that we're meant to be getting from not playing in the midweek? And how the fuck are we playing Brentford and copying their tactics? Is that what we've been doing at Carrington? Throwing the ball long into our own box. I mean, for fuck's sake, like, if Liverpool play Brentford, do you think Arne Slot's going to get bloody Robertson and Frimpong to practice launching long throws? I mean, that to me may well be Phil Jones on corners at Fulham. You know, that may well be it. When Delo is running to the other side of the pitch to launch long throw-ins, I think that's where I go, yeah, we've jumped the shark here. This is the moment. Like, it's incredible that we have a whole week off and that's what we produce. But we shouldn't be surprised. I'm sure there's going to be people screaming and shouting because it's 2025 and that's what people think people want. I don't think that's what people want. I think people want crushing honesty because I think you're capable of it. And the sad fact is we've gone and done exactly what many of us feared would happen. We beat Chelsea and then we go to Brentford and we lose because we cannot win 2 games in a row. We cannot be consistent and this is who we are. Please do smash a like on the video and subscribe, by the way. I am doing an 8 o'clock show tonight. I've got to do 3 o'clock on That's Football, so I'm sort of whizzing through this. But I am doing an 8 o'clock show tonight, and we have got the fan forum straight after this from me. But I want to whiz through some of your comments before we do player ratings. From top to bottom, Marlowe says, this club doesn't have a clue. Favouritism is killing us. I'd like to see Bruno try to blame his penalty miss on Yoro. Look, on that one, very quickly, said it before, after the Manchester derby, Bruno Fernandes cost us the game by not tracking Phil Foden. He stands there with a fucking microphone as captain of the club and says, it wasn't my fault, it was Yoro's. He's meant to be pressing. I was pressing Rodri. That's what happened. You watch it back. He's nowhere near Rodri. Yoro shouldn't be doing that. Yoro doesn't play a game again. Bruno plays the next 2 games. Who's running the football club? Because the Delo obsession is weird. And the Bruno obsession in the midfield. I don't mind if Bruno's playing as a number 10. If he's shit there, I'll say he's shit. But as a midfielder, who's running this fucking football club? 90 million down the drain. He could be in Saudi and we could have had 90 million pounds and a proper fucking rebuild. It's damaging. Ultimately, so many of you said in June that could sack Amorim, not making that decision. He made the decision. He made the decision. You fall on that sword. I sit here tonight, I have no sympathy for Amorim. Like, I have no sympathy. He's made mistakes across this season that ultimately he can only look at himself for. Like, if there's hidden stories, if he wanted to sell Bruno and the club wouldn't, let us know. If you wanted a midfielder and they bought 2 number 10s, let us know. If you wanted a goalkeeper and you got Lamens and you didn't want him, let us know. But ultimately, you know, he is sacking himself. And let's just add into this, Ineos recruited this guy a year ago. What were they thinking? A guy that plays 3-4-3, that we've never played, with a bunch of players that can only play counter-attack. What were you thinking was going to happen? So from top to bottom, it's an absolute shit show. And it's you and I who suffer again. It's the fans who suffer again. Sold another fucking dream. And that's what's, what's next? Southgate, what's coming next? I don't know. I don't know what's coming next. Theo, welcome to Members Club. West Ham have appointed Nuno. Bruno, welcome to Members Club. This is where I draw the line. It breaks my heart, but Amorim out, says Wrong United. This great club should have better standards, give De Ligt the captaincy and play with all the 21s. And that's the mad thing to me. That is the mad thing. When I look back at Amorim's reign, if he got rid of Bruno and brought in some younger players for the future, everybody would have got behind him. If he dropped Bruno from the midfield and said, I'm going with Mainu and Agate, everyone would get behind him. If he was playing Yoro today instead of Maguire, everyone would get behind him. And yet he's gone back to this mad thing that every manager does. And we all know it's wrong. Ten Hag did it. Ollie did it. They go, let's get all these leaders in. Leadership in failure. Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Dalot, Bruno, sacked Ollie, sacked Ranić, sacked Ten Hag. What leadership team is that? Why is Ruben Amorim thinking those 4 players are here to save him? Then save anyone. I'm getting a coughing fit now. But it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that Ruben Amorim thinks Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Bruno Fernandes and Dalot are experienced leaders that are going to save him. They're all captains of the Titanic. Multiple captains. They've sank ships. They've sank fucking ships. And you're trying to set us on a fucking boat trip to America and they're the bloody captains. Sorry. I've done well today. But, it's madness. It's madness. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. And he keeps doing it. These are not leaders. They're not leaders. They're people who have sacked previous managers. And you are using them over Mainu, over Yoro, over Lament. It doesn't make any sense. In the summer, we talked about bringing in a number of players to get back to Europe. We didn't want to have the conversation to address the fact we bring players in and destroy their careers, says Pengers. Look, in relation to they've just said Premier League Match Centre are saying that the reason that Collins didn't get sent off was because Mbeumo wasn't in control of the ball. Yeah, he wasn't in control of the ball because he got pulled back by. Look, I'm not using VAR as an excuse, by the way, but it'd be wrong of me not to say that Collins should have been sent off and we should have been playing against 10 men at 2-1 when Bruno missed the penalty. And Mbeumo gets pulled back. There's no attempt to win the ball. It should have been a red card, and we would have been against 10 men. Now, some people might want to use that as an excuse. I'm bored of excuses, but that's just another shocking decision by the referees. They're fucking useless as per usual. When 1, 2, 3 players play bad consistently, you can look at the individuals. When you've got 8 or 9 time players showing poor to average form, it's on the manager, says LJ. Jonathan says, thanks for all you do. It's appreciated. I'm fed up. I try believing in the players, says Gareth. I try sticking with the manager, but honestly, I've seen more go in my 80-year-old nan. Thank you, mate. Amorim is factually the worst manager we've had, says Jake. What excuse do you think Amorim will make this time, says Monkey? I don't think he'll make any, Monkey. I don't. Mbeumo should have taken the penalty, says Gunnar. I've backed Amorim to do well today. I'm convinced he's not going to stay past Liverpool, says Ram. Players are not turning up, but he is leaving the players who are not turning up on the pitch, says Trishan. Yeah, look, manager's got to take responsibility for shit decisions. Of course he has. From top to bottom, done that from Marlow. 5 number 10s is a farce, says Bree, all on the pitch. I remember saying during pre-season, can they fix his head-dropping mentality when we go behind, says Tristan. I guarantee it's Bruno moaning and it's demoralising, says Abbas. Bruno is a terrible stat merchant, moaning captain, says Kadeen. I'd love all the Bruno fans to come out and explain that shit performance today, because they're very happy to run on when he gets a penalty or an assist. But come on and defend that. That's all I'm going to say. 8 o'clock tonight, come on and defend Bruno. There's plenty of you out there that kiss his arse about his fucking stats. Come and tell us how you can defend that today, because it was fucking shit. I've lost all faith in what I saw. And look, by the way, we can change the manager. by all means, let's change the manager, and we probably will. But you'll still be left with the same problems. Light switch players that turn up when they fucking like. You know? I'd love to see him get it right. The right thing to do is to sack Bruno Amorim, says Milverton. Amorim should go, but we will be getting Southgate as the replacement, says Azur. Yeah, probably. And there'll be a slight improvement, but we'll waste 4 years on him. Amorim should have sold Bruno, but the club wouldn't, says Peter. Blaming the structure again when clearly his player selection's wrong, says Don. Mark, what pressure? These are high-paid players. They were just down tools, says Treble Origin. Stop dreaming about beating Arsenal and get real, says Sahil. Right, I've got to be off here by 3, so I better do these player ratings. Binder, I probably would have given him a 5, but I'll give him a 4 because that last goal is just hilarious. He made a couple of good saves, but that last goal is ridiculous. De Ligt was probably our best player. I'd give him a 5. Maguire 4. Luke Shaw was shit 4. Dalot was absolute shit 4. Agate was okay. I'd give him a 5. Bruno 2. Absolutely fucking rubbish. How he's played 90 minutes, I do not know. Dorgu 5 was okay. Mbeumo 5 okay. Cunha probably a 4 to be honest. Didn't look anywhere near it. Sesko probably give him a 5. And Mainu actually was probably at fault for the 3rd goal, losing the ball. I don't think his head's in the game, so 4.5. Yoro did okay when he came on, 5. Mount was okay when he came on, 5. Same with Xerxes, 5. Again, yeah, you've got to give Amorim a 2. You have to. Who was my man of the match? I'd probably give it Sesko for the goal. Yeah, 50% Sesko. 31% De Ligt. But yeah, it wasn't that difficult, was it? Wasn't that difficult. I am back on the 8 o'clock show. It'll be a big show tonight, so make sure you tune in for that. But I've got to go and do the 3 o'clocks on That's Football. So if you want to join over there, I'm going to go big on... obviously, I'm going to get asked a lot about that. But they're waiting for us in the Manchester studio, and they're going to carry it on. Let me just make sure they're live. Unless anybody knows if they're live. Sorry, I've lost my live chat here. I will be back. I can't end the stream. Okay, I'll see you at 8 o'clock. They're live in Manchester. Get over and have your say. Let's spam their chat with Amorim, and then you can put whatever you want after it.